So the now what for is when we were sitting in the airport, we were kind of talking about, right, well, what can we do with this money? So even though it was managed, we realised actually renting's not for us. We don't really want to be doing this.
So would we have had the house as well, rather than putting it all in stocks and shares? Would we have done what we did, put some in stocks and shares and bought the rental?
We got a hot tub. Oh no, you're just going to do it every time. So annoying.
Hello, we are Retirement Dreams to Reality. I'm Keely. This is Bruce. This video is about what we did after we received a settlement. It was actually as a result of an accident that happened in America. Now, America has quite a complex litigation system, and unfortunately, we became part of that.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
On behalf of Retirement Dreams to Reality, but mostly me, I would like to apologise for the sound quality of our videos. We are new to YouTube, we are trying very hard, and hopefully we are getting better. Please continue to watch. We feel that the content will be useful to you. You've just got to persevere with us in our early days. Thank you. We were given a sum of money that was enough to pay off our mortgage and a little bit more. And that was always my aim. We said we would never settle unless we could pay off the mortgage, because I needed, after my brain injury, to go part-time.
Right, okay, so we got this lump sum of money. We were deciding what we were going to do with it. And the issue was I saw this money as Keely's money. So after the accident, which was really traumatic and quite difficult for me to handle, after what she went through, she deserved to make all the decisions and make all her choices as she saw fit, which in hindsight was kind of a bit of a mistake on my part. I think I was kind of grieving as well and going through the whole process of nearly losing my wife, that I kind of took a real step back. Because of my health and fitness background, because I enjoy that kind of thing, we talked about the possibility of us opening a gym, starting our own business, investing the money in something like that, and then kind of creating our life for ourselves in a kind of whole different way to what we were used to. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. We realised that we're not entrepreneurs.
We're not entrepreneurs at all, are we?
The main thing that I wanted from it was that I could go 4 days. So the now what for is when we were sitting in the airport, we were kind of talking about, right, well, what can we do with this money? We agreed that we were going to go, right, I was going to go 4 days, Keely was going to go part-time, but also we were going to pay off the mortgage. Yeah. And we totally spoke about that. So there were big things that we agreed about. And the number one thing for us was to go mortgage free. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a financial advisor, invest some money, and then get a property. So Keely's always really been interested in property. We watch all the kind of programs on TV, and she's always been really good at dressing up houses. And what she thought is that she was going to start her own empire. So we were going to get one house, and she was like, well, what we'll do is we'll get it managed. We'll get this one house managed first, and then when we get the idea of how it works, then Keely's like, well, we'll get another one, and then we'll stop them managing it, and then this will become my new job. I'm going to start an empire of properties.
Yeah, I've forgotten we talked about that.
Yeah, so that was like quite what we really spoke about. That was a real big plan of ours, that moving forward, that's what we wanted to do. What was your next bit?
One thing we were told was put it in a trust, but just putting it in a trust was going to cost a couple of £1,000. But we were told about an annuity, and I think, didn't I look into it, and we were going to get £6,000 a year or something. It was awful. Whatever it was, I just looked at this lump sum of money and thought, that's not even enough for me to go part-time.
Was it the solicitor that suggested? Because we had a really good solicitor in the UK, didn't we? And was it the solicitor in the UK that suggested this annuity? Through our travel insurance, we had a really good. I mean, this is why we're massive advocates of travel insurance and buying the premiums, because if we wouldn't have had the platinum travel insurance, then it would have been an absolute nightmare in America. But we'll talk about that another time. But you liaised with the solicitor over here, didn't you?
Yeah. So basically, the solicitor over here talked about putting it in a trust, so that was going to cost quite a lot of money. And he also talked about getting an annuity. But because I knew I wanted to pay the mortgage off, once we had put that lump sum into the mortgage, if we put virtually all of what was left into an annuity, it was an absolute pittance. So yeah, so we didn't do the annuity, we didn't do the trust. But the one other thing we were told is as a minimum we ought to get a financial advisor. So that's what we did. So what did we actually do? We're going to go. Why don't we just go through these together?
Yeah, we can do.
So the first one thing is really quick. We hired a financial advisor and we invested.
Yeah.
Now, bearing in mind we knew absolutely nothing about it. At that point, we only invested about a fifth.
Yeah.
Not quite a quarter, something like that.
Yeah.
We were paying Aviva their percentage, we were paying the financial advisor their percentage. But at the time, in 2017, that was the best thing for us.
And I think as well, we came round and we did the whole profile thing and we did our risk assessment, didn't we? Kind of how much risk we were prepared to take. And we didn't really understand the stock market at all.
He did in the beginning. He did a good job getting us introduced into it. Yeah, that was the first thing, and then the next thing was we decided to buy a rental property. Bruce has sort of alluded to it in the idea at the very beginning is we might buy quite a few rental properties. If you watch anything about property investors, they don't buy a property outright. What they actually do is use their money to pay a small amount to have a mortgage. So they'll put the 20% down and then the rest will be a mortgage. We virtually bought a whole rental property.
Yeah, which in hindsight worked out well because now interest rates are going through the roof.
Originally, I was going to get 2 flats. But I did so much research into the rental market. We decided to buy a house to rent out rather than 2 flats because 2 flats would come with all the ground rent costs, the maintenance costs, all of the extra things that flats come with, the leasehold, all of those issues. Whereas one house was probably going to gain a similar amount in rental, maybe a little bit less, but it was safer.
As soon as the money landed in our account, I literally rang up the mortgage company and went, right, we want to pay off a mortgage.
Yeah.
And that was something we did straight away. And at the time, it was a great feeling, yeah.
Because it feels good now, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It felt really good when we owned 2 properties.
Well, yeah, but we've still got a mortgage on this house, but it's a very small mortgage. But
another thing we did is we took the family to Spain.
Yeah.
We didn't do lots of flash things with it, as we'll talk about in a bit. But we took about 10 people.
Yeah.
Just to Lanzarote for a week. It was like, yeah, we'll just do something a little bit nice. So that was one thing that we did.
Yeah, we paid off any bit like major debt. So we had credit cards, we had some loans, we had some bits and pieces. So we made sure we paid all those off.
Not a lot, but it was me. You're being nice. Yeah. I had some credit cards.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the not a lot.
There wasn't at that point.
So we paid those off, which was a good start, and made sure we kind of had a clean slate, which was nice.
Premium bonds. The maximum you can put in premium bonds is 50,000. So I think straight away we put 50,000 in premium bonds because that's quick access. At the time, it took 7 days to get it from the premium bonds into your account. Now it only takes 3. So it was something that if we needed any money quickly in an emergency, it was sitting there. So we did that. And all of the money that you win, everything's interest free. So that was good.
Yeah, the next thing was we gave Lewis a lump sum to help him out in America.
We've already said I left teaching and went very part-time.
Yeah, Keely got a hot tub. So that was something.
Not a lazy spot, a hot tub.
So that is something that we did get. And we also converted the garage. Now, again, at the time, really good idea. We thought, okay, we've got a garage that's not doing anything.
I was going to do some more tutoring as well, if you remember.
Yeah, that was a kind of plan again, start our own business.
I was going to do quite a lot of A-level tutoring at home.
You even started looking at sociology. You got your own little business cards.
Yeah.
You got a little website. And it never kind of happened. Yeah, it wasn't the best decision. I mean, it does add value to the house, but we don't really use it that much now.
We don't use it at all at the minute, but in the summer we'll use it.
Yeah, we open it up in the summer and it's nice.
And you've already said you went 4 days.
So for 7 years, I've been 4 days and that's just pretty much set me free. So that's made a massive difference in my life. and I really appreciated that. And that money enabled me to do that, and that was a big win for me.
What we didn't do.
So what we didn't do. So I looked at this. This is my thing. What we didn't do is we could have sold up. So we moved into this house, which is we went from a very big kind of Victorian terraced, lovely house in a kind of end of the road nightmare parking place that we really liked, but it was freezing. It was just not where we wanted to be. Eventually, we kept walking around this estate and thinking, one day, even before what happened, didn't we? We're like, one day we could maybe buy a house here, but we'll see what happens. And eventually, if the way things were going, because Keely was quite a high flyer in teaching, and she was kind of moving up the department, being head of department and everything else, and I would have probably just stayed 5 days. I think eventually we got here. We just got here quicker with the money. So we sold up and moved here. But then when we got this settlement, we were like, we could have actually gone, well, you know what, let's sell this and let's get an even bigger house. And because Lewis was not happy when we moved here, because he went from the terrace house where he had his own entire top floor, which he loved, to a kind of box room in a detached, nice, quaint house, 3 beds in a nice location, which was good for us, but wasn't necessarily good for him. But we could have gone on a world cruise. We could have gone, and like I said before, we could have gone on big lavish holidays, because again, Keely's thing is to go on holidays and have experiences, and I wasn't quite there at that point. But I wouldn't have minded going on these holidays. But again, we were quite level-headed and realised, no, that's not where we want to do with the money. We want to retire early.
Yeah.
So again, that feeds in. Even then, that feeds into who we are and what we wanted then. Because when we spoke to our financial advisor, we were like, we want to retire early. But so we didn't do that. We still go on holidays, and we were still planning on, and we still have really good holidays. Don't get me wrong, we have good experiences, but we do it within a budget. A running joke was that every time the financial advisor would come on a yearly basis, he would see a new car outside, and he'd be like, "Oh, so you were saying that you're not going to get these things, and there's an Audi TT outside."
Every time he came, he'd say, "Oh, you've had a new Audi."
Yeah, and the reason was that Lewis was working for Audi, and he just basically got a new car every 6 months. So I still had my Hyundai i30 for 10 years, and Keely had a Skoda Citigo for 10 years, and we never even got a new car. So we to be fair, we did really well. I mean, we made some really difficult decisions, and we made some maybe not so great decisions, but we didn't really make that many bad decisions.
We didn't really blow loads of money.
So that was pretty much what we didn't do. So what was your next bit?
My son wanted a Rolex for his 25th birthday. He didn't get one of them either.
No, he didn't.
So what would we do differently? So we've talked about what we did do. We've talked about what we didn't do. But now, in hindsight, it is 10 years since my accident, and it's 7 years since we received the settlement. What will we do differently? So I'll do this one because I'll do it a lot briefer than Bruce, because he does have a lot to say about this one. We wouldn't employ a financial advisor now. We would literally stick all our money in low-cost ETFs in the S&P 500. Now, I don't know loads about that, but I know enough to know that the S&P has an average return, depending on who you listen to, depending on when you bring inflation in, from 4% to 10%. That's what we would have done. We would have literally just put most of our money into the S&P 500. So would we have had the house as well, rather than putting it all in stocks and shares? Would we have done what we did, put some in stocks and shares and bought the rental?
I think we were lucky with that, because even though I was a bit kind of laid back and kind of didn't really ask any questions, and with the property, I went to every single look around in town.
Yeah, we went together.
We went together and we did it together.
But you did leave it to me. I remember you saying
it's your choice.
Yeah, it's your choice.
Yeah, which is again wrong. I shouldn't have done that. I should have taken on more. Again, I think I was in shock. I was in such a not a good place that I wasn't in any position really to make any good decisions. The house, the rental was a really good decision. I think we were lucky, and I say we were lucky because when we got it, it literally was just before the pandemic. It's a couple of years before the pandemic.
We bought the rental in 2017.
Yeah, so it was a couple of years before the pandemic, and we had no idea that even with it being managed, which was a good idea because we realised we'd be rubbish at
I
managing.
did bargain the management fee down though.
Yeah. So even though it was managed, we realised actually renting's not for us. We don't really want to be doing this. With the boom in
Property.
the boom in property, the price of the rental went up considerably, didn't it?
Yeah.
So that really helped us out because now again, if we'd have done it now, we'd nowhere near have made the profit that we've made over the last 4 or 5 years in that.
We paid the mortgage off straight away. I remember sitting in mediation with the people that we're in litigation with, and I said to them, if I don't have enough money to pay my mortgage, there's no point, we might as well just still carry on and go to court. So that's always the aim. We need enough money to pay our mortgage off. And now we realise that was a really stupid thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah, in hindsight.
The only
But
thing,
it was that security, wasn't it?
the only reason it's a good thing to do is peace of mind.
Yeah. I mean, again, at that point, we didn't know what state you were going to be in. That was still early brain injury.
Yeah, it was.
And we didn't know kind of how you were going to cope. Fatigue was still really bad. And we had no idea even if you were going to be able to cope part-time. So, yeah, that's what we needed to make sure we were secure. What's the next thing?
So the next thing is emergency fund.
Again, this is something we've only kind of recently learnt about, having an emergency fund. In the past, if we've had issues, we would just stick it on a credit card. If we've had problems like stuff that's gone wrong, because we had loans, because we had debts, because we had other things, we never.
Credit card was my emergency fund.
Yeah, we used to use it. A credit card I remember before I met you, I never even knew about 0%.
You didn't know what a credit card was, did you?
I didn't never even had a credit card.
Did you?
No, I didn't realise that you would just take a 0% and then transfer it to another 0%. I had no clue what that meant. So now we've got an emergency fund, and again, straight away, I would have put so much away. I mean, the financial advisor in his credit did say you need some money cash to one side.
That's what the premium
so to his
funds
credit,
are about, really.
To his credit, he did say you need some cash to one side because you don't know what's going to happen.
Another thing, and I really wish the financial advisor had said this, we should have carried on adding to the pot. On our first meeting, when we said we want to retire at 55, and he went, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
What he should have said is, well, is there any chance you can add to this money that you've already got? If he'd have said to us, oh, you're not going to be able to retire at 55 unless you do this.
We'd have been doing that for the last 6 or 7 years. That's even more money that we could have put away. And what we would do differently is we should have got a financial planner.
Well, that leads on to if we'd have got a financial advisor again, we would hire one for a one-off fee. So that's what we will do when we are
close to retirement,
about a year before retirement.
Yeah, even if it's just to kind of reassure and make us realise actually you're okay, everything's good. Because again, they know so many things, that the loopholes and all the other kind of things that we don't know. Even just for peace of mind, it's worth those couple of hours.
And the final thing we've got is we would have invested in a more adventurous portfolio. So you said, didn't you, at one point we were 50-50.
We were home 50-50 all the way through. When COVID hit and the stock market went just crazy and we lost loads, he rang Keely and basically just said, oh, I just need to give you a call to let you know not to worry. And you just went, don't worry about it. Did you say this is going to be your easiest phone call?
I said, I'm sure you've got some really, really difficult phone calls to make. This is not going to be one of them. We told you that the money was just going to sit in an account for 10 years. It is. We've got no idea what's happening with it. Get on and make your other phone calls. In conclusion, why is this useful for anybody? Because people get given lump sums for various reasons. It could be an inheritance. It could be a huge tax-free pension sum. It could be like me, it could be an accident, it could be critical life cover, anything like that. And these are just some of the things that we did. If there was only one thing that you could definitely do, what would yours have been?
I think mine would have been investing. I think I wouldn't have bothered with the property.
See, I think mine would still, after everything I've said, to pay the mortgage off.
Yeah.
There's something about walking down the close, looking at our little house and going, we own that.
Yeah.
And I think there always will be, even though I know financially it wasn't a sound thing to do, but emotionally.
I just think because the reason I say I would have invested like all of it, because of our ultimate goal of retiring early. Now, owning your own house is not going to help you to retire early. My biggest regret is if we'd have been invested properly in the stock market from 2017 to now 2024, the amount of money that we've lost is just very frustrating.
I think I just need to finish with, we've said a couple of things like we won and we've said we were fortunate. None of this negates from the fact that I had a very substantial, life-changing brain injury. There's a lot of people that would have been beaten by what happened to me.
But again, I think the biggest takeaway for me is to just make sure you've got a plan. And if you've got a plan, stick to that plan.
And get a one-off fee financial advisor.
Yeah.
This is Retirement Dreams to Reality. Thank you for listening. And it's about, what's it about? A serious amount of money.
We got a hot tub. Oh no, you're just going to do it every time. So annoying. So we took Keely's family to Spain.
Yeah, we did. I have thought about that since.
We didn't take